Thanks for joining us again on the Cook's Pantry, where we are all about trying to minimise waste in the home, in particular with your leftovers. And what I have been left with is a vast array of ingredients from my friend Mr. Michael Weldon, who pulled off an absolutely incredible lamb roast dinner. I'm going to show you guys how to breathe new life into it to create a whole new feast for the family. So what I'm working with here, we've got the classic roast combination. We've got the leg of lamb, the veggies, some frozen peas out of the freezer. We've also got a bag of the sweet potato that's diced up, ready to go. So first thing I want to do though, we've got a nice deep saucepan on here. I'm going to get some extra virgin olive oil in, and with the addition of a couple of very simple ingredients, we're going to transform this into a completely different dish that will absolutely comfortably feed the family. Okay, so we've got the oil in there. We're going to kick this off just with a diced onion. So what I'm going to be creating today, if you haven't guessed it already, is a good old shepherd's pie. So we're not using mince. We've got leftover leg of lamb, and what we're going to do, we're going to almost treat it like mince. Okay, so we're going to dice it up so it's nice and fine. I think if you were to get a leg of lamb, put it in big chunks and cook it again, it would dry out. So if we cut it up nice and fine, it should stay really nice and moist and absorb all of that beautiful gravy that we're going to build around it. So we've got the onion in there, teaspoon of dried rosemary, and the same smoked paprika. Just going to fry that off. Now I can work on the lamb. What I want to do is just get a really nice fine dice happening. So there's still a little bit of fat running through it, which is good because it'll render out and really sort of contribute a nice amount of flavour into this gravy. So go that way, run it along the other way, all right? Just like that. So that's gonna give us that beautiful texture in our sauce. So finish this up with the lamb, go across one way, turn it to get that nice dice happening, all right? We can even start to put this in. So we're going in with the lamb, we're gonna start to warm that through, obviously, but really start to render out that little outer layer of the lamb fat that wraps around the leg. All that lamb in there. So I reckon we've got, it'd have to be 500 or 600 grams of lamb in there. Stir that, make sure it's nice and evenly coated. That's still cooking down. We can go in the frozen peas, beautiful. The veg, what was he working with here? We've got carrots, potatoes, Brussels sprouts. Good boy, Mr. Weldon. Get all of that in there. The last thing I want to do, a little bit of cornstarch. So like a tablespoon. And I'm just going to kick it off with a little bit of stock. So just mix that through. And what that's going to do is help us, old school technique, but it works every single time to thicken up the gravy. So I'm going to go in with the rest of the stock. We've got about a cup all up. In with our cornstarch mixture. Now just mix that through so it's nice and even. Throw the lid on and just let that tick away and thicken up nicely. So we've got all the veg in there. That lamb is definitely warmed through by now. All right, so sit that on there, down nice low temp. Sweet potato mash. That's what's gonna go on top of our shepherd's pie. So really simple, just bang this stuff on here, season them up, a little bit of salt. In the oven. In they go. We don't want too much colour on them because we are turning them into the mash. So about 20 minutes in there. By that stage, we will have cooked this one down, thicken up nicely into our baking dish. Sweet potato in there, mash it up, top it, bake it again. Dinner is served. The base of our shepherd's pie here has come together beautifully. You can see how that's really thickened up and it's all starting to hold together and grab onto that gravy. It's exactly where we want it to be. So, I'm going to pour this into our roasting dish here. Get all of that in there, and I want to use a spatula. I'm not going to stretch you guys and create any more washing up. I know what Weldon's like in the kitchen, so if I was here to witness the roast, I dare say there would have been a few pots and pans floating around. Sorry, Chief. All right, so sweet potato. I'm going to slide that into our pot here. All right, this is going to create our mash. So I'm just going to get a little low heat happening here. Going to go in with a good knob of butter, probably about 50 grams. In with a little bit of cream, like that. We did season it before it went into the oven. I'm just going to give it another little pinch, a little bit of cracked pepper, All right, get all of that butter melted. Start mashing it old school over the top. Once all that's warmed through, we'll smear that over the top of our lamb mixture, back in the oven. And really, the last step is all about just trying to get that little bit of a crust on top of that sweet potato before you serve it. A couple of minutes in a roaring hot oven and you start to get that nice little crust over the top. If you wanted to push it further, you could throw the grill on high heat and just really char up the top. I mean, the toppings where you could go nuts, you can go breadcrumbs, you can go parmesan cheese, you can go fresh herbs. It's entirely up to you, whatever you've got on hand to dress up your shepherd's pie. We've repurposed it, we've upcycled it and turned it into another family feast. So nothing's going in the bin and the family's not going hungry. Enjoy.